This Jabba the Hutt concept maquette replica is the latest addition to Regal Robot's maquette line of their archive collection, and it's a beautiful one, from a certain point of view.
That one over there, I don't even know what it is. Can't tell what's the head and what's the tail. Ugh. And that Jabba guy, old Big J as we call him around here, well, he's the worst of all.
Jabba was certainly the hardest of all to create. George said his first design looked too human. Second try, too snail-like. Number 3 was just right.
So here it is, guys. This is another version of the Jabba the Hutt concept maquette replica, and for me this is one of the most anticipated versions out there, just because I remember seeing this version in the documentary From Star Wars to Jedi. And when Regal Robot reached out and said they were putting this out, I was really excited because I've always wanted to recreate that scene from Star Wars to Jedi where you see kind of all of the different versions of Jabba the Hutt. Now, this is the latest edition of their archive collection, and it's going to be very limited. There's going to be 2 versions. There's a legacy edition that's going to be limited to only 40 pieces. And then there's a signature edition that's going to be available as well that's going to be limited to 83 pieces. Now, just like most of the other maquettes, this one was scanned right off the original one in the Lucasfilm archives and was hand painted in the Regal Robot New York studio. And the details on this are insane. I mean, Regal Robot really knocked it out of the parks just with all the intricacies of the paint job that this one involves. And this is one of those deep cuts that Regal Robot gets into, which I love about the maquette line. And this version was sculpted by Tippett, and of course it has all the key characteristics of a Tippett sculpture. And some of the key features on this are crazy, like the little barnacles on its face, the big scar across the right eye, and just all the gruesome slime and folds and bumps that, you know, just Tippett is just so good at, and it makes it look like a real creature. And Regal Robot does such an amazing job at capturing all those details and really making it look like the one in the archives. So now let's jump over to some of the references that exist out there. So a little backstory on these maquettes. So there was originally 4 sculptures that were made to figure out how Jabba the Hutt was ultimately going to look like. Now, 3 of these were made by Tippett, and the last one, which is kind of like the Macquarie head bust, was actually created by Chris Wallace. And those 3 concept maquettes are featured here in the archive book, but most importantly, here's the, I guess the second version technically of Jabba the Hutt. And like I said, Regal Robot just knocked it out of the park to make it look just like the one in the archives. And it just looks so cool next to the kind of final version of the maquettes of Jabba the Hutt. And like I said, I can't wait for Regal Robot to put out all 4 versions, just so we can kind of replicate the scene that's in From Star Wars to Jedi, the documentary, which most of us grew up on. And I think I've watched this film probably more than the actual original trilogy, and even have some of those lines memorized. It's such a cool documentary, and if you guys haven't seen it, definitely check it out. It's online, you can watch it for free, but you get a lot of backstory on all these creatures. But again, this one just is such a cool concept maquette, and I really like the fact that Phil kind of just went all out with this, with all the gruesome details. Like, it has goo coming out of both ends and just all the like gory details, like the holes in his head, and just the way they're painted to look realistic. And like the pink color on the toes, and again, just even coloring the goo right on both ends of Jabba the Hutt is just another little touch that makes this creature and this maquette so unique. And because all those features are in the one in the archives, of course, Regal Robot had to replicate them, and they did a fantastic job at that. And I love those features that are on this maquette. Like, you could actually see Jabba the Hutt's spine on this, and it's just really cool. Like I said, Regal Robot's painting these by hand in their New York studios, so I can't even imagine having them, you know, paint a bunch of these because it is so intricate. And in my opinion, it's probably the most intricate paint job out of all of the maquettes that we've seen so far. And here's a little close-up of the front of his face with the barnacles. Like I said, even just the paint job on that, right? Like the barnacles, the slime on the actual cut of the face, they're all there. And again, it's just such a unique maquette. And of course, we all know that this isn't the final version. The other maquette that Regal Robot put out is closer to the final version that we see on the screen. Although this one, I guess both of them have that weird kind of like sack on the back of the head, which is an interesting feature that a lot of the Jabba the Hutt maquettes have. And it's interesting that it didn't make it into the final film. And as you can see, they're roughly about the same size. This new one's about 8¼ inches wide. And this one does include the black wooden display base. Now, like I said, there's going to be 2 versions of this that are going to come out. There's going to be a legacy edition that's going to retail for $7.99. And then there's going to be a signature edition that's going to retail for $4.99. The Legacy Edition is going to be limited to only 40 pieces, and it's going to come with a unique work of art made by Phil Tippett himself, as you can see here, and Phil Tippett's autograph. And the Signature Edition is going to be very limited. It's only 83 pieces, and it's going to be hand signed, again, by Phil Tippett, and it'll come with the signature plaque. And this is going to be available for pre-order on February 4th. At 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And because they are so limited, I would definitely jump on there early because these probably will sell out just because, again, people want this version kind of next to the original version. And just like all their other editions, the Legacy Edition is going to sell out because it comes with this cool, unique hand-drawn sketch by Phil Tippett. But also the fact that the Signature Edition is only 83 units, those will likely sell out as well. And like I said, it'll come with Phil Tippett's autograph on this cool signature plaque. And I can't wait to see how people display these, especially if you're not collecting all of the maquettes. Maybe you're just collecting kind of the primary ones, or just, like I said, the Jabba the Hutt ones. I want to see how people are going to, put them together. So if you are going to pick this up, let me know in the comments and kind of your ideas on how exactly you're going to display it. Because of the size, it actually will look really cool displayed next to the original Kenner vintage Jabba the Hutt figure. Just because all 3 are roughly the same size, and I think it just looks so cool with them all together. Or if you are collecting the full maquette line, I mean, look at how cool they look once you start, setting them next to each other. So I hope you guys enjoyed this review. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and I'll see you guys on the next one.